It's Friday night. You've had the week from hell. Your boss dumped a last-minute project on your desk, you missed your kid's soccer game, and you've been eating sad desk salads for lunch all week. You're exhausted. You're frustrated. And as you're scrolling through your phone, that targeted ad appears. The one for the weekend spa getaway. Luxury suite. Hot stone massage. Infinity pool overlooking the mountains. Just $800. Your brain whispers three magic words. I deserve this. And just like that, the credit card comes out. You book it. You feel a rush of relief, like you've finally done something for yourself. But here's what you don't realize in that moment. Those three words just cost you way more than $800. They might have cost you your entire financial future. Hey, I'm Jerry, and if your bank account is always empty, this channel is about to expose why. Today, I'm going to show you how I deserve this became the most expensive lie you tell yourself, and how a Victorian-era psychologist predicted your broke bank account 150 years ago. If you're ready to stop justifying yourself into poverty, hit that subscribe button and let's talk about the woman who bought herself into a mental breakdown. To understand why I deserve this is destroying your finances, we need to go back to London, 1891. Meet Margaret Ellsworth. She wasn't famous. She wasn't a philosopher. She was a 34-year-old schoolteacher living in a modest flat in Clerkenwell, and she was about to become a case study that would change psychology forever. Margaret was good at her job. She worked long hours teaching reading and arithmetic to working-class children. The pay was terrible, about £80 a year, barely enough to survive. But Margaret was disciplined. She saved every spare penny in a tin box under her floorboards. Then, after 3 years of relentless saving, something happened. Margaret's abusive headmaster retired. The school board replaced him with a kind, reasonable man. For the first time in years, Margaret could breathe. The constant stress lifted. She felt like she'd been released from prison. And that's when her brain made a dangerous calculation. I've suffered for 3 years, she thought. I've earned the right to enjoy myself. So Margaret went to the department store and bought herself a silk dress. Not the practical cotton she usually wore, silk. Real silk. It cost her £12, 3 months of savings. But as she stood in front of her cracked mirror wearing that dress, she felt like a different person. She felt valued. She felt worthy. The problem? Her reflection was now split in two. There was silk dress Margaret, elegant and refined, and there was regular Margaret, living in a dingy flat with water-stained walls and a window that wouldn't close properly. The dissonance was unbearable. How could this sophisticated woman in silk live in such squalor? I deserve better than this, she told herself. So she rented a nicer flat. That was £6 more per month, but she could justify it. She had worked hard. She had suffered. She deserved a place that matched who she was becoming. But the new flat had gas lighting, and her old furniture looked medieval under the bright glow. The rickety chair, the second-hand table with the burn mark. They all looked like props from a peasant's cottage. I deserve proper furniture, she reasoned. She bought a walnut writing desk, an upholstered chair, a Persian-style rug. Each purchase felt justified. Each purchase felt earned. She had sacrificed so much. Didn't she deserve to live like a human being? Within 8 months, Margaret had spent her entire 3 years of savings. But she didn't stop there. She started borrowing. Small amounts at first. A few shillings here and there from colleagues. Then larger sums from moneylenders at predatory rates. The debt compounded. The interest multiplied. And Margaret, the woman who had been so disciplined for years, found herself in a spiral she couldn't escape. She was working harder than ever, earning the same salary, but now she was poorer than she'd been before the silk dress. In 1893, she suffered what doctors at the time called a nervous collapse, what we'd now recognize as a severe anxiety breakdown triggered by financial stress. A psychologist named Randolph Caldwell studied her case extensively and wrote about it in his journal. He identified what he called the compensation delusion, the belief that past suffering earns you the right to present excess. The human mind seeks balance. When we feel we have been denied, we overcorrect. We don't seek equality, we seek revenge against our former deprivation. This is the psychology destroying your bank account right now. Now you might be thinking, Jerry, I'm not buying silk dresses and renting expensive flats I can't afford. I'm just treating myself occasionally. But let me show you how this plays out in 2026, because it's even more insidious now. Let's talk about the rough week syndrome. You have a brutal day at work. Maybe your coworker took credit for your idea in a meeting. Maybe you got chewed out for something that wasn't your fault. Maybe you just sat in traffic for 2 hours. You feel drained, unappreciated, disrespected. So on your way home, you stop at Target just to grab milk. But as you're walking through the aisles, your brain is running a calculation you're not even aware of. I worked hard today. I deserve something nice. You grab the fancy candle, $28. You throw in the cozy blanket, $45. Oh, those throw pillows match your couch, $35 each. Grab 2. That new book looks interesting, $27. And you've been wanting to try that Korean skincare routine. Might as well get the starter set, $89. You go in for milk. You walk out having spent $287. But here's what your brain did. It created a false economy. It calculated that your bad day was worth approximately $287 in compensation. Your suffering earned you a credit, and you just cashed it in. The problem is, that math doesn't exist. Your rough day didn't deposit money into your account. Your frustration isn't currency. But your brain treats it like it is. This is compensatory consumption, and it's the single biggest reason why hardworking people stay broke. Because here's the thing, the worse your life feels, the more you feel you deserve to spend. Bad job? You deserve treats to cope. Stressful relationship? You deserve retail therapy. Overwhelming responsibilities? You deserve that vacation you can't afford. The suffering creates the justification, which creates the spending, which creates financial stress, which creates more suffering. It's a doom loop, and it gets worse. Let me introduce you to deserve creep. You start with small treats, a $6 latte after a hard meeting. That's innocent enough. You earned it. But here's what happens. Your brain gets used to that reward. The latte becomes expected. It's no longer special. So the next time you have a hard meeting, the latte doesn't give you that same relief. You need something bigger. So you upgrade to the latte plus a pastry, $12 now. Then that becomes normal, so you upgrade again. Now it's lunch out, $25. Then it's the new shoes, $120. Then it's the weekend trip, $800. The compensation has to keep escalating to generate the same emotional payoff. You're building a tolerance to treats like they're a drug. And just like a drug, the costs spiral out of control. Let me show you a real example. I interviewed someone recently. Let's call her Ashley. Ashley is a nurse. She works 12-hour shifts in an understaffed ER. The job is brutal, physically exhausting, emotionally draining. People yelling at her, patients dying. She's a hero, genuinely. And every shift, on her drive home, Ashley stops at Starbucks. Not for regular coffee, for the venti caramel macchiato with extra everything. $8.50. I deserve this, she tells herself. I just saved 3 lives today. I can have a $8 coffee. That logic seems airtight, right? Except do the math. She works 4 shifts a week. That's $34 a week, $136 a month, $1,632 a year. Over her 30-year career, that's $48,960 in coffee. And that's not even counting the compound interest she could have earned investing that money. But here's what kills me. Ashley told me she can't afford to cut back her hours because she needs the money. She's trapped in a job that's destroying her, and one of the reasons she's trapped is because she's spending $1,600 a year deserving treats to cope with the job. She's paying to stay in prison. But here's where it gets really dangerous. The deserve mentality doesn't just make you spend more, it makes you blind to the actual cost. Let's do some math. Let's say you earn $65,000 a year. After taxes, that's about $48,000 take home. That's $4,000 per month. Sounds like a decent amount, right? Now let's add up your I deserve this spending. Coffee treats, $150 per month. I need caffeine to function. Lunch out 3 times per week, $240 per month. I deserve a real meal. Friday night drinks, $160 per month. I earned the weekend. Monthly self-care, nails, hair, massage, $200 per month. I need to maintain myself. Subscription services you barely use, $85 per month. I deserve entertainment. Impulse Target runs, $180 per month. Just little things I needed. Weekend activities, $200 per month. I deserve to have a life. That's $1,215 per month, or $14,580 per year. That's 30% of your take-home pay going to things you justified as deserved. Now imagine if you had invested that money instead. At a modest 7% annual return over 20 years, that's $634,000. You're not just spending $1,215 a month. You're spending your future financial freedom. You're trading early retirement for lattes. But it gets even worse when you realize most of those purchases didn't even make you happier. The research is clear. Compensatory consumption provides a dopamine hit that lasts about 15 minutes. Then you're back to baseline. The latte doesn't fix your bad boss. The new shoes don't fix your stressful relationship. The vacation doesn't fix your overwhelming life. You're not solving problems. You're just numbing yourself. And numbness is expensive. But the really insidious part? The I deserve this mentality changes who you think you are. Let's say you work a demanding corporate job. Long hours, high pressure, soul-crushing bureaucracy. You start telling yourself, I work so hard. I deserve to live like someone successful. So you upgrade your apartment to a luxury building. You lease a German sedan. You buy the designer work clothes. You join the expensive gym. You're not buying these things because you love them. You're buying them because you think your suffering has earned you a certain lifestyle. You're building an identity based on compensation, not on actual preference or financial reality. And here's the trap. Once you build that identity, it becomes self-reinforcing. Now you can't downgrade the apartment because I'm not the kind of person who lives in a cheap place. You can't sell the car because I need to look professional. You can't quit the soul-crushing job because you need it to pay for the lifestyle that you bought to compensate for the soul-crushing job. You've built a golden prison, and the only key is the job you hate. This is what psychologists call the hedonic treadmill of deservingness. You work hard to earn money. You use that money to buy compensation for working hard. The compensation becomes your new baseline. So now you need to work even harder to maintain it, which means you suffer more, which means you deserve more compensation, which means you need to work even harder. You're running faster and faster and you're not getting anywhere. You're just getting more tired. And here's the really dark part. This cycle destroys relationships. Because when you're constantly exhausted from overwork, and constantly stressed about money, and constantly shopping to cope with the exhaustion and stress, you don't have energy left for the people you love. Your partner tries to talk to you about the spending, but you shut them down. I work 60 hours a week. I deserve this. Your kids want to spend time with you, but you're too tired from working to pay for the lifestyle you deserve. You're sacrificing connection for compensation. And connection is what actually makes people happy. The research is overwhelming on this. Relationships, not possessions, determine life satisfaction. But the deserve mentality convinces you that stuff will fill the void. It won't. It never has. It never will. Let me show you how companies weaponize this psychology against you. Have you ever noticed how brands market directly to your suffering? You work hard. You deserve a break today. Because you're worth it. Treat yourself. You've earned it. These aren't just slogans. They're psychological weapons designed to lower your resistance to spending. The entire beauty industry runs on this. Luxury brands don't sell you lipstick or handbags. They sell you the feeling of deservingness. The Chanel ad doesn't say, "This bag is well made." It says, "You're sophisticated enough to own this." It creates a class identity, then tells you that your hard work has earned you entry. Tech companies do it too. Apple doesn't sell you a phone. They sell you the identity of someone who deserves the best tools. Peloton doesn't sell you a bike. They sell you the identity of someone who prioritizes themselves. And here's the really manipulative part. They time their marketing to your weak moments. Ever notice how those targeted ads appear right after a stressful day? That's not coincidence. The algorithms track your behavior patterns. They know when you're vulnerable. They know when you're most likely to think, I deserve this. You're not just fighting your own psychology. You're fighting billion-dollar marketing machines that have spent decades perfecting the art of making you feel like spending is self-care. So how do we fix this? How do we break a psychological pattern that feels so justified, so reasonable, so earned. We can't just stop treating ourselves. That's not sustainable. We're not robots. But we can rebuild our relationship with reward. Here's my 4-part system for breaking the deserve delusion. Step 1. Separate feelings from finances. Before any non-essential purchase, you need to ask yourself one question. Am I buying this because I want it, or because I feel I've earned the right to buy something? If the answer is the second one, stop. Put the item back. Walk away. Because here's the truth. Your hard day, your stressful week, your difficult year, they don't create financial permission. They create emotional discomfort. And emotional discomfort is not solved by spending money. It's solved by addressing the actual problem. If your job is terrible, the solution is to find a better job or set boundaries, not to blow money on temporary relief. If you're overwhelmed, the solution is to simplify your life, not to buy your way to calm. Create a rule. I never make purchases in response to negative emotions. Wait 48 hours. If you still want it after the emotion has passed, then you can evaluate it rationally. Step 2. Build a reward budget. I'm not going to tell you to never treat yourself. That's insane. You're a human being, not a spreadsheet. But treats need to be planned, not impulsive. Set aside a specific amount each month, say $100 to $200, that is explicitly for guilt-free treats. This is your designated fun money. You can spend it on anything you want with zero judgment. But here's the key. Once it's gone, it's gone. No borrowing from next month. No justifying extra spending because you had a hard week. The budget is the budget. This does 2 things. First, it satisfies your need for reward without destroying your finances. Second, it forces you to be strategic about your treats. Step 3. Redefine what you deserve. This is the mindset shift that changes everything. Right now, you think you deserve stuff. Nice things, luxury experiences, retail therapy. But what if you deserve something else entirely? What if you deserve freedom from financial stress? What if you deserve the ability to quit a job you hate? What if you deserve to retire early? What if you deserve to not lie awake at 3 a.m. worried about money? Because here's the reality. Every time you say, I deserve this $300 purchase, you're actually saying, I don't deserve financial peace. You can't have both. The money only goes one direction. So make a choice. Do you deserve short-term treats or long-term freedom? Do you deserve the dopamine hit of shopping or the deep satisfaction of watching your savings grow? Start thinking of your future self as someone who also deserves things. Future you deserves a fully funded emergency fund. Future you deserves to be debt-free. Future you deserves options. Every time you spend money on I deserve this treats, you're stealing from future you. And future you definitely didn't do anything to deserve that. Step 4. Track your justifications. Here's an exercise that will shock you. For the next 30 days, every time you spend money on something non-essential, write down the justification you used. I had a hard day. I worked overtime this week. I haven't bought anything for myself in a while. It was on sale. I'll use it all the time. At the end of the month, look at that list. You'll see patterns. You'll see your most common justifications. You'll see how often you're using suffering as currency. And here's what you'll realize. If you added up all those I deserve this moments, they probably total more than you spent on rent. You're not occasionally treating yourself. You're constantly compensating yourself. And compensation is expensive. Once you see the pattern, you can interrupt it. When your brain starts running its justification script, you'll recognize it. Oh, there's that hard day justification again. Recognition breaks the autopilot. It forces you to make a conscious choice instead of an emotional reaction. Let me leave you with one final thought that completely changed how I think about this. Imagine you're 65 years old. You're sitting in a small apartment. You're still working because you can't afford to retire. Your body hurts. You're tired. You have no savings, no safety net, no options. And you're thinking back to your younger self, and you're wondering, where did all the money go? Then you remember. The hundreds of Target runs, the thousands of coffee shop visits, the weekend trips you couldn't really afford, the clothes you wore once, the gadgets you got bored of, the subscription services you forgot you had. And you realize You spent your retirement on treating yourself for having hard days. That 65-year-old version of you is watching you right now. They're hoping you make different choices. They're hoping you realize that freedom is worth more than treats. They're hoping you understand that you don't deserve to be broke. Will you listen to them? Look, Margaret Ellsworth's story ended tragically, but yours doesn't have to. She didn't have the psychological research we have today. She didn't understand what was happening to her, but you do. The next time your brain whispers, "I deserve this," recognize it for what it is. It's not wisdom. It's not self-care. It's not treating yourself right. It's a cognitive trap that's been bankrupting people for over a century. You do deserve things. You deserve financial security. You deserve freedom. You deserve a future where money isn't a source of constant stress. But you don't get those things by spending. You get them by saving. Stop earning the right to spend and start earning the right to be free. The truth is, you already deserve everything you need. You deserve safety. You deserve security. You deserve peace of mind. And those things don't come from shopping. They come from building a financial foundation that can't be shaken by a bad day. If you want to dive deeper into breaking destructive money patterns, check out the video right here where I expose the lifestyle inflation trap that keeps high earners broke. And if this video stopped you from making an emotional purchase today, smash that like button and subscribe for more financial reality checks. I'm Jerry, and I'll see you in the next one. Stop deserving. Start deciding.